Good evening, folks. Welcome to the City of Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing for July 22nd. Just a few reminders. You can join the hearing remotely as well through virtually and through calling in as well through Zoom. And just a few housekeeping reminders if you plan on speaking tonight. If you can come to the lectern, just give us your name and address. Then say what you have to say. And just a reminder to folks, if you have any electronics device, if you can just put it on silent or vibrate so it won't disrupt the meeting, it'd be appreciated. Going on in the continued business, we have ZBA-2024-18, petition of variance. The applicant is Chair Ung, property at 28 Evergreen Road. The applicant has applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals seeking a special variance to construct a second-story addition onto the existing single-family home at 28 Evergreen Road. The subject property is located in the suburban single-family SSF zoning district. The proposal requires variance approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals per section 5.1 of the Lowell zoning ordinance for relief from the maximum floor area ratio FAR requirements and for any other relief required in the Lowell zoning ordinance. Anyone here from 28 Evergreen Road?
Anybody online, Fran? It's 28 Evergreen Road, if you didn't. Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I am a contractor for 28 Evergreen Road. We was here. My name is Keith Sewer.
Thank you.
On 15 Leverett Street, Lowell.
Good evening. Welcome back, sir.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you want to just tell us about the project?
Yeah, we from the last meeting we came in and asked for the variant, and I guess the only thing that was missing was the sign on the lawn, and we did post it up already. So I don't know for what else you're looking for.
Okay. Okay, thank you. If that's all that you have for right now, we'll open up the hearing to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? All right, seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? All right, seeing none, public hearing is closed. We're going to open questions and comments to the board. The chair recognizes Mr. Prokop. Mr. Prokop, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did drive by the property and I did see that the notice was up there last week, and I feel much more comfortable. In addition, at the last meeting that you attended, we felt that the request for relief was fairly minimal. So I don't think we have an issue, and I believe you had an abutter the last time who was, I don't want to say not in favor, but was concerned about parts of the development. Yeah, so I don't, again, I looked at it, and the project is I don't think it is any negative impact, so I'll be voting in favor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Prokop. The chair recognizes Mr. Briere. Mr. Briere, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no concerns and will be voting to support the petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Briere. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad to see that the addition primarily takes place on the second level. There's a small overhang in the front which encroaches on the front yard, but primarily all these setbacks are existing that you're looking for variances on. It's the FAR that really is the big driver of this variance, in my opinion, which again I see as not a big ask, and I can support this. And I'm glad to see that you're not doing a big addition on the footprint of the house. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. The chair recognizes the vice chairman, Mr. Callahan. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the last time this matter was before us, I recall, I think it was only continued because there was a issue with regards to the sign not being put on for the notice on this. I do recall, though, as Member Prokop mentioned, there was an abutter who was present in opposition. She did bring up a bunch of items, but it seemed her main issue was with regards to notice of this petition, mainly because the signage wasn't available, and I believe she got a letter late or something to that effect. But that being said, I reviewed the plans myself as well, and based on what's been provided and the items provided by DPD staff stating they don't have any concerns regarding this, I do also think that the request for relief is minimal on this, and I will vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. The chair recognizes Mr. Nicholson. Mr. Nicholson, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions. I think it's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. Yeah, like my colleague said, I think minimal relief, so I don't have any concerns. If there's no other comments from my colleagues, we move forward with a motion.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2024-18 for variances at 28 Evergreen Road, a variance for floor area ratio, variance for minimum lot size, variance for frontage, minimum frontage, variance for front yard setback, and a variance for rear yard setback.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by Mr. Prokop. Can we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve?
Member Callahan,
Approved?
Member McCarthy,
Approve.
Member Briere, Member Prokop,
Approve.
Member Nickerson.
Approve.
All right, sir, you've been approved. Wish you the best of luck. And thank you for coming out this evening. Have a good night. All right, moving on to new business. We have ZBA-2024-21, the petitions of variance. The applicant is the Franco-American Holding LLC. The property is located at 357 Pawtucket Street. The applicant has applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals to construct an 80-unit mixed-use building at 357 Pawtucket Street. The subject property is located in the traditional mixed-use TMU zoning district. The proposal requires variance approval per section 5.1 for relief from the maximum height and maximum story requirements, and for any relief required in the Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'm Steve Panagiotakis, 191 Sanders Avenue. You all set, Fran? Okay. And office at 318 Highland Avenue. I'm representing the petitioner, Franco-American Holdings LLC, the owner of 357 Pawtucket Street. Joining me is the principal, Brian McGowan, attorney James Harrington, Chris Lazar from Procon, our architects, and Dave Jordan, our engineer. We are here today requesting variance relief to construct an 81-unit, 80 residential and 1 commercial, 6-story, L-shaped building that would run along the streetscape of Pawtucket and Fanning Streets, with 2 of the stories being dedicated to parking. The parcel is the multi-use, is in the multi-use TMU zoning district, and therefore this proposed building would require variance approval for section 5.1 for the requested relief from the Lowell zoning ordinance. The site was purchased by the petitioner in 2017, and since then he has renovated the existing structures with 59 residential units and 1 commercial unit, preserving much of the woodwork, fireplaces, and moldings in that part known as the Air Mansion, one of the most historic and architecturally significant buildings in Lowell. The petitioner also decided to preserve and allow the much-needed renovation of the over 100-year-old grotto and Way of the Cross by granting a large swath of the property as a perpetual easement to a nonprofit, so that that urban oasis of prayer and meditation will continue to remain open to the public. Because of the petitioner's preservation commitments to the site and community, it has caused him to come before you and request the following variances. A variance from the setback requirements to allow a 5-foot setback, which is consistent with the other buildings along that part of Pawtucket Street. A variance to allow 6 stories instead of 4, which is actually less than the 7 stories at part of the existing Franco building in the abutting Lord Manor, and also encompasses 2 stories of parking as part of the 6. A variance from the 45-foot high restriction to allow a 64-foot high building, again, still less than the existing Franco and Lord Manor buildings, and again, encompassing the 2 stories of parking. And finally, a variance from the lot area per dwelling unit requirement. These variances would allow the petitioner to make use of currently underutilized land, which has been nothing more than a storage area, create significant tax revenue for the city, and bring online much-needed market-rate housing to the neighborhood. I would ask if I could bring up our architect just to go through some of the slides that we have here so you can get capture a good understanding of what's being proposed.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Chris?
Good evening. My name is Chris Lazat. I'm from Procon. We're from 1359 Hooksett Road in New Hampshire. We're fortunate enough to be able to work with Brian on this interesting project. I'll just kind of quickly go through the slides. If you want to go to slide 2. So, as Steve mentioned, there's 2 levels of parking. This is the level L1. So the first level, you basically enter this parking from the lower end of Fanning Street because that road slopes, obviously, from Pawtucket down. That allows us to enter basically at the basement level, as if you were on Pawtucket. And I think on this level there is 73 parking spaces. You want to go to the next slide? So this is the level up from that. I think this has 66 parking spaces, so we have about a total of 139 inside the building. And this you enter from the back side of the property, because it's a level up from that first level. Slide 4. And we get into the 4 levels of apartments. Basically, the first 3 are the same. The top's a little smaller because we stepped in the building. We have a mix of studios, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. So we have a kind of a good mix there. If you go to the next slide. And then this is basically the same layout on each floor. If you could go to the next. Same thing. And then we go to the top floor. This is the last floor of apartments. This steps in a little bit, so help break up the massing of the building, sort of create that top of the building. This affords us actually that these units will have some roof decks with some views basically on all 3 sides or all 4 sides. If you go to the next slide. So this is our conceptual rendering from the corner of Fanning and Pawtucket. And so on the corner here, one of the things that we're doing is obviously having a retail space on the first floor to anchor that corner. That obviously helps with walkability, interest on the street, and then helps sort of provide that corner of the building. And this is one of the reasons why we're tucking the building up to the street to obviously basically create a streetscape along there. This is kind of similar to other buildings as you go down the road. And then, and then here, this is again from just Pawtucket. You can see to the left, the existing Franco building, and then to the right is our new proposed. Oop. You're rushing me. And then you can see the difference. So to the left is the existing building. Obviously, you don't see the full height. Like it was mentioned earlier, it's actually taller than this building. And then basically, just in terms of generally how it looks, we're going to create a sort of rusticated base, kind of, obviously not the same, but similar to some of the older buildings in the area where you have a strong base. Basically, you have the middle of the building, basically be horizontal siding, and then you can see on the top floor how we step back. The building there to kind of, again, sort of break up the height. And then we want to obviously sort of build up the streetscape there. We'll have a sidewalk, we'll have some landscaping, make it a lot more walkable. In the end, this helps really utilize this corner area a lot better and obviously provided needed housing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you're in possession of some letters of support from the neighborhood. We've gotten good support from neighbors and abutters. I've also spoke with House of Hope, who is in the back on Fanning Street. Deb Chaussee, she has no major problems with the proposal, and UMass Lowell was very happy to hear about it. So I'll give you that. Dave Jordan, our engineer.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is David Jordan. I'm an engineer and land surveyor with Greenman Peterson in Salem, New Hampshire. I just want to briefly touch upon a couple things. I don't know if we can put the site plan up on the screen. I think it might have been the next slide after what we were just looking at. But in terms of changes to the site, and again, just very briefly, as part of this, there's an existing curb cut on Pawtucket Street. It's seldom used, but there's a curb cut there nonetheless that'll be eliminated through the placement of this building. And that's been looked favorably upon by DPD and engineering. And likewise, right now, the main entrance into the existing site is from Fanning Street, somewhat up towards Pawtucket Street. We'll actually be relocating that all the way to the back of the site, so providing greater separation between our main entrance and Pawtucket Street. We have seen, before I go there, just in terms of parking, the plan before you, we do meet the parking requirements that are contained in your zoning ordinance. As Steve said, we have 59 existing units, a commercial space in the mansion, the historic mansion, 80 new residential units proposed, along with a retail space in the proposed building. When you look at the various parking requirements for each of those spaces, again, we've calculated that, and between the reconfigured on-site surface level parking and the 2 levels of parking proposed in the building, new building, we meet and slightly exceed the number of parking spaces required by your ordinance. We have received a copy of comments from, again, DPD and the city engineer. And just very quickly for the record, a couple things that were mentioned in that memo regarding stormwater. Obviously, if we're successful here this evening and this project is fortunate enough to move forward, we will be preparing a complete and comprehensive stormwater analysis and design that addresses your local stormwater ordinance as well as state requirements for stormwater. There's an existing stormwater on site today that we will be supplementing and augmenting to accommodate the additional runoff from this new building and parking surfaces. Couple of comments regarding transportation from the transportation engineer. One, a trip generation memo is going to be needed, and we certainly recognize that. And again, we'll be providing that to the planning board if and when we get to that point. And likewise, we are reminded that a transportation demand management plan is required for this project. And again, that will be prepared and submitted to the planning board as part of a site plan and special permit application, again, if we are successful this evening to move this project forward. I think at that point, that's all I wanted to present at this point, but I will be here to answer any questions the board has. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's our presentation. If there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Panatakis. Now we'll open the hearing to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is John Matlack. I represent the owner of 321 Pawtucket Street. We're not necessarily in opposition of this, but we just found out about this project on Friday. We haven't had any opportunity to see any of these documents until today. So the owner asked me to come here, see what we could do to get some of this information to see how it's going to affect our property right next door.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? All right. Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Zoning Board of Officials. David Willett, 113 Cabot Street, Lowell. Tonight, I'm before you as president of and founder of Action Acre Coalition to improve our neighborhood. Brian McGowan has renovated and/or built many places in Lowell in our amazing Acre neighborhood. Brian and his company TMI have always done an exceptional job on every project, going above and beyond the scope of work expected. His commitment to quality and detail is amazing. His latest endeavor, the renovation of Franco-American and the preservation of the iconic grotto, shows testament to that. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of this great building by Brian in our Awesome Acre neighborhood. The variances are very small, considering improving 4 stories to 6 stories when it is bookended by buildings, the Franco-American and the Lord Manor, about 7 stories. And the variance of height goes hand in hand with the approval of 4 to 6 stories. The approval of the 5-foot setback would mimic the existing streetscape on Pawtucket Street. The approval of these variances would bring to our acre neighborhood 80 new units of much-needed housing and a new commercial presence. I request that you please vote in favor of these variances to continue the awesome transformation and vision of the Upper Merrimack Street and Pawtucket Street corridors in our incredible acre neighborhood, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak in favor of this position? In favor? In favor? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. We're going to open question and comments to the board. The chair recognizes Mr. Briere. Mr. Briere, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This project checks all the boxes. It brings new purpose to an underutilized lot, additional tax revenue to the city, increases the vitally needed housing stock, and further enhances the acre neighborhood. Mr. Chairman, it's easy to support a project this great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Briere. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask a few questions about how the building height is determined. If we could possibly talk to the architect or someone who could address that. It states, I think, that we're 64 feet in height, and I'm not sure how that's measured, because I do know that we have basically a second level of parking in the rear. And is that part of that 64 feet? So what you're actually looking at on Pawtucket Street is less than 64?
Yes, that's correct. It is less than that on Pawtucket. It's the height of the building is based on average grade around the property, which I think is around 100, elevation 116. So that's where that height is measured from. So it's obviously going to be taller on the end of Fanning and shorter on Pawtucket.
So I think on the site plan that you submitted, you have a grade in the street there at Pawtucket in front of the structure about 123, 124, 122. It's about 123 maybe. So 116, so it's roughly 7 feet less than the 64. Is that correct?
Yes, up along Pawtucket Street, you're up around elevation 123 or so at the highest corner. And then back at the far end, where you're entering the lower level parking area, you are at elevation 118. Well, no, 108, excuse me, 108.
So the 64 would then visually be reduced at that 123 elevation to something closer to 57 feet of actual height that you would be introducing on the street elevation? That make sense?
It does, and I think in one of the renderings that we had shown on the screen, you see from Pawtucket Street that really all you're seeing is a small portion of the second level of parking, and then the 4 stories of residential above.
And I think the other part of it is that the upper level steps back. And so not only are you softening the height by dropping a second level of parking in, but you are stepping the upper level back so that you almost see the third floor, or actually the third floor residential above the parking as the top, and then the penthouse suite, if you will, behind that. So nice job. I think it really does a nice job of threading that needle there with the height issue and the other residences and structures along that area. And the fenestration, the materials that you're using seem to look a lot like what we have on the mansion and the Franco School, but could you just talk about what you're using for materials?
Yes, so the rusticated base is basically be like a precast type of element, so it's got that not real stone, but it's going to, you know, basically look like stone, kind of what's done typically now for new buildings. Most of the building will have probably fiber cement siding, both horizontal and vertical. The existing Franco building has some of that siding on it now, so we're kind of using some of that material to kind of, you know, relate the buildings together. Obviously not exactly the same, because this is obviously more of a contemporary building.
But visually, you have similar tones.
Yep, yep, and then where we have gratings at the parking area, mostly you see this sort of down towards Fanning. We're going to use sort of a black grating that's you know, relates to the sort of black ironwork that's along the street now. Obviously not the same, but again, we're trying to play off things in the neighborhood, but more of a contemporary method.
So I don't want to set the bar too high here, but we have this phenomenal building, in my opinion, Acre Crossing, that uses fiber board, similar manner to kind of give the impression of masonry. Is that kind of the direction you're thinking of here with these tones?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Okay.
basically it.
Yep.
Yep, we break that, so the scale of the building is using the, you know, like brick has more of a smaller scale to
Right,
it.
right.
And so this horizontal siding basically creates that same type of pattern.
Okay. I was interested in introducing two conditions here. You didn't submit a landscape plan, but the renderings do.
That-
But the renderings do indicate landscaping on them. And I was wondering if we could use those renderings to reference in the condition, such as that the applicant provide up to 23 trees, is what I counted in the different renderings, shade trees, that is, with 8 along Fanning Street and a minimum of 5 along Pawtucket. And that you work with DPD to provide a complete landscape plan.
Yes, our landscape design group at GPI would be preparing a comprehensive landscape plan as part of any submission to the planning board, and we've seen the comments in regards to the renderings, and we can use that as a starting point for our final landscape design.
Okay. And then I also would like to have a second condition that we obtain a stormwater approval from the city. Those are the two conditions I'd like to see us have.
Certainly very appropriate.
But this is 80 units?
80, yes.
Fran, this goes a long way to getting us, we need 6 of these projects a year and we're there, right? This is wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. The chair recognizes the vice chairman, Ms. Callahan. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. This is looks like a fantastic project. It'll certainly fit in with the Acre neighborhood and generate that more. I mean, I know the applicant's done fantastic work at the Franco-American School, as mentioned, and it's just only going to beautify the neighborhood even further. And it's going to fit right in between the Franco-American School and the Ayer Mansion and the other mansion as well. Along the lines of the conditions as well, including what Dennis mentioned, I think we also should, based on what the memo provided from DPD, and I know you mentioned that you're going before the planning board and presume that that's what's going to happen, but we got to cover ourselves as well, in case the planning board doesn't address it, which I'm sure they will. But we'd also probably want to condition the transportation demand management plan and the brief trip generation memo be submitted as well. So just to make sure that everybody,
What was
all the
the
bases.
second? Sorry, Sean. The second thing,
Yep.
transportation demand management and
And the brief trip generation memo that it was mentioned by the transportation engineer in their comments. And I know the engineer mentioned that would probably be addressed at the planning board, but just in case it doesn't get addressed, we want to make sure because the transportation engineer did mention that we should require that. So, but with that, I think it's going to be a fantastic project, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. The chair recognizes Mr. Nickerson. Mr. Nickerson, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You actually answered most of my questions in your presentation, and then Mr. McCarthy asked a couple other ones that I brought up. So I don't really have any questions. I think it's a fantastic project. Earlier, looking over the housing production plan, it fits right into scale for that. So I'll be in support of this for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. The chair recognizes Mr. Prokop. Mr. Prokop, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think for the record, Fran, we should also document that we've received, 5 letters of support by email? I think also my questions have been addressed. Member McCarthy mentioned about the landscaping plan, which was something I was going to reference to in addition to the shade trees. Yeah, I think this is a very expansive project. It would definitely add to the beautification of that area. But also, the TDM would definitely be an important factor as well. We'd like to see what the transportation engineer says about that area. Maybe there is something that the city can do to improve the traffic flow and the roads itself and so forth, but that's neither here or there for us to decide. But I'll be voting in favor, Mr. Chairman, with the conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prokop. Like my colleague said, I think this is an amazing project. It's only going to add to the quality of life to the neighborhood, but to the city as a whole. Housing is such a big need, and again, like my colleagues say, this is quite a tremendous investment in the community. So thank you to the whole team for that. I don't have any objections myself. Mr. Panatakis, we talked about a lot of conditions. You're okay with the conditions that we talked
Yes,
about
we are.
this evening, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If there's no further comments by my colleagues, we'll move forward with the motion, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2024-21 for variance for 357 Pawtucket Street, variance for relief for maximum building height, maximum story requirements, and any other relief required under the Lowell zoning ordinance, with the 3 conditions: that the applicant provide a landscape plan developed through with the assistance of DPD to show a minimum of 23 shade trees as shown on the renderings, with 8 of them on Fanning Street and 5 on Pawtucket. That the applicant develop or obtain the stormwater approval, and that the applicant develop the TDM plan and brief trip generation memo.
Second.
All right. Motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by Mr. Briere. Can we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve of conditions?
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Briere,
Approval.
Member Prokop,
Approve with conditions.
Member Nickerson.
Approve with conditions.
All right. You've been approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you. All right. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, we have ZBA-2024-23. The applicant is Denise Bond, property located at 26 Lincoln Street. The Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing to all interested persons related to an applicant by Denise Bond seeking to erect an internally illuminated sign at 261 Lincoln Street. The subject property is located in the Neighborhood Business NB zoning district. The proposal requires a special permit approval for section 6.3 for internally illuminated signage and for any relief required in the Lowell zoning ordinance.
Hello, good evening. I'm Denise.
Good evening, Bob.
Denise Band, 26 Lincoln Street, Lowell, Mass.
Thank you. You want to just tell us about your project?
Wanted to do aluminum sign and painted sign in front of the restaurant.
Mhm.
Hopefully, the size should be 8 feet by 10 feet.
Okay. Thank you. If that's all you have, I'll open the hearing to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. We're going to open questions and comments to the board. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure I understand the size of the painted signs. Do we have those dimensioned?
We're thinking about 8 feet to 10 by 10 feet. Hopefully, I think that's the largest size that, my artist is here. She can explain more about the sign, about the painting sign.
Okay.
The size of the paint.
And the sign that is being illuminated with exterior lights, right?
Yes.
It's not internally illuminated. It's not interior, it's not an internal illumination.
I'm not sure about that. Let me see. So it's illuminated with lights?
Right, I see them in the in the image, and it shows these kind of like a gooseneck light that lights the surface, so there's no internal illumination.
It would light up the sign from the around the sign?
Yep.
I'm not really technical about that, but
Yeah. So the sign doesn't have a sign box with lights inside of it,
it would have a sign box.
but are the lights inside of it shining through the surface?
The sign will not have lights inside. It'll be on Alumicore panels, and it'll be 8 by 10 feet. So 10 feet tall, 8 foot wide, on 2 separate panels.
Oh, so those are the painted signs on the
Yeah.
building?
Painted.
Okay. And then the sign over the entry door?
The sign over the entry door is that, are you getting approval for that as well? on the
Yeah,
sign?
it's
Yeah.
it's aluminum sign.
The one above the one above the
door,
building
yeah.
will be in a sign box illuminated internally.
It will be internally,
Yes,
okay.
that one, not the
that-
painted sign on the
Sorry
side.
about that.
Thought we were, I didn't know these.
Perfect.
Multiple.
Yeah, oh.
Okay. Thank you. I have to ask Fran, do we have any idea if the 2 big signs now, so it's 160 square feet of additional sign that they're asking for, 8 by 10, 2 of them, right, on the building? Does that meet signage dimensionally?
I don't know that off the top of my head, sorry. What I will say is I'm looking at a photo of the proposed sign, the painted sign, and to me, if it's what I'm looking, is this the painted sign that we're talking about? This
On
thing?
the side of the building,
This?
yes, that's the,
So to me, this reads as more of a mural. Are you working with case? Are you working with, okay.
quarry on the painted, yeah.
Yes, so I actually think that the painted sign is a mural that they're seeking.
It's not a mirror.
They're
it's a
seeking
painted
permits
sign.
through the Cultural Affairs and Special Events Office for a permit for the mural, which is the painted thing. And it's regulated differently than signage. What is being reviewed by the board tonight is the internally illuminated sign, which it actually sounds like is externally illuminated, and I'm not sure that that even requires a special permit. So,
But I heard clearly that they want it internally illuminated, so
okay,
I think we can go ahead and get a
right. So I
variance
wouldn't
for the
worry about the
internal-
painted sign
and
because
the
they're
painted
getting,
signs, we don't have to worry about.
correct.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful restaurant, wonderful addition to the area. I'm so glad you've been. How many years have you been in this location? Probably about 20?
Huh?
How many years have you been in this location?
Oh, that specific location, about 17 years.
17, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Great restaurant.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. The chair recognizes the vice chairman, Mr. Callahan. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through Mr. Chairman. I'm glad you're staying, 17 years and you're still going strong. And I love Simply Camara. It's fantastic food there, and I'm glad you're so successful at this point and still try to expand on that building. Especially the mural, I think, is fantastic. It's what you're planning, and I hope it comes to fruition with that, because it looks beautiful, and it's just going to illuminate. Shows exactly how great your business is. So I've had no issues with this, internally illuminated or externally illuminated. I think either way it looks fantastic, and I wish you the best of luck. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Mr. Callahan. The chair recognizes Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was kind of confused in the beginning with the difference between the light and the mural. But now that we're just looking at the layout, it's pretty simple. So, yeah, I'm supportive of it as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. The chair recognizes Mr. Prokop. Mr. Prokop, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any problems. I'll be voting in favor of this. Thank you, Fran, for clarifying. I think one was a mural and one is the internally illuminated sign. My first impression was, why is there a petition for a mural? But yeah, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prokop. The chair recognizes Mr. Brier. Mr. Brier, the floor is yours, sir.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brier. Ms. Bond, I think this is straightforward. I think it'd be a nice addition to the restaurant. And again, like my colleague said, amazing business. I really think this is kind of a cultural staple here in the community now. I think people come from far just to visit this restaurant. So great kudos to you and success in your business. I support it. So I wish you the best of luck. If there's no further comments, we'll go forward with the motion.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2024-23 for a special permit at 26 Lincoln Street for internally illuminated sign and any other relief required under the Lowell zoning ordinance.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by the Vice Chairman, Mr. Callahan. Can we roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve.
Member Callahan,
Approve.
Member McCarthy,
Approve.
Member Briere, Member Prokop,
Approve.
Member Nickerson.
Approve.
All right, you've been approved. Wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. We have ZBA-2024-24. Petition is a variance. The applicant is Kojak Development Corporation, property located 20 through 26 July Street. The Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to an application by Kojak Development Corporation to permit the existing single-family home to remain on the parcel known as 20 July Street and to construct a single-family home on the adjacent parcel located at 26 July Street. The project requires variance approval under Section 5.1 for minimum lot size, minimum lot area per dwelling unit, frontage, side yard setback, and usable open space requirements, and for relief required in the Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening, Councilor.
Attorney George Theodoro, representing the applicant, Kojak Development Corp. With me here tonight is Tim Juzak, the principal of Kojak Development, as well as Matt Hammer. And just for the record, my address is 491 Dutton Street, Lowell, Suite 206. This, as you correctly stated, Mr. Chairman, is an application for a variance. It involves the lot of 20 July Street which is the existing parcel. And what we're seeking to do is to subdivide the adjoining empty lot next door and construct a single-family dwelling on that lot with sufficient off-street parking. And as a result, we're requiring to have variances for both lots. The variances for each of the lots are the minimum lot area per dwelling unit, minimum lot area, frontage, side yard setback, as well as for 20 July Street, which is the existing lot, requires variances for floor area ratio and open space. Now, this home was built, it's a well-settled home built in 1935. The zoning, the current zoning as a single-family residence requires 70 feet of frontage and 7,000 square feet. If you take a look at the zoning analysis chart that we provided for you, which encompasses all of July Street, it goes around the block to the rear of June Street, you see that our respective development for each of these lots fits in well with the neighborhood. You can see that our lot for 20 July Street, once we subdivide it according to our plan, has 4,600 square feet. That the adjoining lot for 26 July Street would have 4,851 square feet. Each of them would have frontage of 50 feet. Now, if you look at the analysis that what we've done, and this is simply taking the records of the existing homes and the house lots that exist right now on June and July Street, and you'll see that the majority of these are comparable to what we're proposing. If you go up and down the street behind us, 42, 38, 32, 28 June Street, 24, 2016, you'll see that they're all comparable. If you look at us, at our lot that we're doing, the lots behind us are comparable. A few of them are a little bit bigger, and some are smaller. The proposed development that we're putting in is not a radical plan. The project has been reviewed by the Department of Planning and Development, and I'm reading from their comments that the staff does not have any concerns that the proposal states right here that the front yard setback and the home that we intend to construct fits into the scale in the neighborhood with the other dwellings. And what this board has, the power that you have in your hands to allow this to go forward, is to allow again for allowing a family to have a new single-family home without it being a detriment to the neighborhood. It fits in with the scale of the neighborhood. It fits in with the scale of the other homes. And by doing that, again, you're allowing someone to purchase that home and to go through, and you see what the policy behind all this is. You allow that family to go ahead and do what all families do when they buy a single-family home. That's to establish generational wealth for themselves. Not today, but 20 or 30 years from now. That's how important it is. Mr. Hammer is here with the plans. He can go through the site plan with you. And also, you have there the zoning analysis in front of you, where you can see that both the locust dwelling of 26 that we propose and the existing dwelling of 20 would fit in well with the neighborhood. So, Matt, if you want to take a step and go through that.
Good evening. For the record, Matt Hammer with Lamplex Engineering and Surveying, 10 George Street, Lowell, Mass. So existing today, here's July Street here. There's an existing two-story single-family residence. There's a driveway here with a garage in the back, a cabana, and there's also a bluestone paver patio area. And then on this adjacent lot is essentially grassed with some mature trees. The proposal is to do a new two-story single-family home. That dwelling will comply with all the zoning requirements for that new building, as well as to have the required 2 parking spaces adjacent to the dwelling with a walkway, and we've also added 2 trees as part of this proposal. There was a question in the DPD's comments related to the existing trees. Some of them are quite large. We can keep the trees, but we also have no problem taking down trees if people feel as though those trees are a detriment to their property. The tree in the back is a massive tree. We just find when they start to split towards the bottom that eventually 1 or 3 of those limbs could potentially fall off because of the weight of the limb. But we can leave those trees as part of this proposal. And I can show you all a photo
Thank you, Mr. Hammer.
as well. In fact, the photo has a lot of leaves on it. And I can only imagine how the leaves that fall off of these trees, but our proposal can leave those trees if need be. We had also provided this neighborhood analysis. I think Attorney Theodoro went through the analysis pretty thoroughly, but essentially we color-coded the analysis to show in blue similar lots that have similar or less land area per dwelling unit calculations to them. And then you can see the frontage is comparable to the neighborhood. And then in red shows the ones that are in excess of that land area per dwelling unit calculation. And just so happens on the other side of the street with the width of the block itself, it just so happened that those were longer lots just because they were connecting in half the block. So they're just longer and have more land area per dwelling unit just by virtue of the layout of the actual block. I also like to note that there's some very nice amenities nearby with public parks, and it's a very nice neighborhood in that regard. This is a floor plan here showing a total of 3 bedrooms. Here on the second floor, this is going to be an attic area, not to be utilized, but just be utilized for storage. These are elevations. This is the front elevation from July Street, showing the porch entranceway on the right-hand side with decorative trim on the gables. These are the sides of the unit. In fact, this building should look familiar. We've done this building a couple times, one on Hampshire Street and Manchester Street. So But it's a nice home, mullions in the windows, and a entrance covered rear of the building as well. And that is the proposed building. The first floor, sorry, I went by the first floor. This is the entrance porch coming into an entrance area with a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen in the rear. And the dining room is connected with the rear porch coming off the back of the building. And I can put it back to Attorney Theodoro. And I can answer any questions that the board has.
Thank you, Mr. Hammer.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we're available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Theodore. We'll just open up the hearing to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this project? Yeah, you want to come to the lectern? Will you state your name and address for the record?
My name's Jean Calhoun. I live at 39 July Street.
Good evening, ma'am.
And I understand that they want to put a house there, but you're taking away the greenage of the front of the house. And the variances are put in place for a reason. And if the lot size is too small, and you open that can of worms, there's going to be multiple people trying to do the same thing. So I think it's a safety issue. Also, because, God forbid, if there's a fire, they're going to catch. You know what I mean? That's my only concern.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this project? Good evening, ma'am.
My name's Sharon Stoya. I live at 29 July Street, basically across from where they plan on building. I also am opposing it. I also sent a petition today. We have 59 signatures opposing it. It's my understanding, I've lived there for 22 years, and I know before I moved in there, they've also tried to build on this lot before and were denied. My issue is, I know up in that area, they're making a lot of the streets one-ways. We do have a lot of amenities there. We're in the school zone. A lot of school buses go up and down that street. A lot of, food trucks for those schools go up and down that street. You're going to create more on-street parking. There's not enough parking as it is on those streets. And, I grew up in the city, and the reason why I did grow up by a house in that neighborhood, because it is a nicer neighborhood, and I want to live in a nicer neighborhood. And I think if we start building houses on lots that are too small, again, like my neighbor said, you are opening a can of worms. And who's to say I'm not going to come here and want to build one in my backyard, because my backyard's the size of that side yard. You know what I mean? I just think that it's just not big enough, and it's going to create more issues, safety hazard. And there is a big, beautiful tree on the front of that street that's very mature, and it makes the neighborhood look nice too. And I just think you're going to start throwing up all these houses in these neighborhoods that are on lots that are too small. You're asking for trouble, and you are opening a can of worms. That's all
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this project here? You want to come up to the lectern, ma'am? Good evening.
Hi. Excuse me. My name is Ruth Messer. I live at 27 June Street, which is directly behind the proposed building. I just had two questions. You didn't mention a basement, so there wouldn't be an in-ground basement. My house is 125 years old, the house that I live in, and so the concern would be the disruption of the integrity of the current structure of my own home. And the tree is either going to go or not. It is going to stay, okay. Because I've been raking the leaves for 45 years. Now I'm well aware of how many leaves there are. I believe it's a 200-year-old beech tree, and I just love it. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for helping out. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mark Stern, 37 June Street. Couple quick questions. One, height-wise, I didn't see, or is it equal in height to the house next to it? Similar in height. That is one question. And just in response to the comment about it being in line with the other houses, that is true, but I do believe we've updated laws since the 1930s for a reason when we made all these plots, so I get what he's saying, but there's probably a reason for that. I'm also here to speak for the tree. That tree is a very important part to our neighborhood. It's huge, and to Bruce's point, we're all used to cleaning up after it. The tree is really important. It gives shade to probably 6 or 7 houses, at least. It is very important to us. Personally, I do believe the lot is a little small. I do also see the need for housing. I'm torn on it. If you put the eyes on the lot, though, it's pretty small. So very pro-tree, though, so if we can keep the tree, that's really important to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? All right, seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this project? In favor? In favor? All right, seeing none. We're going to open questions and comments to the board. But before we do, Counselor, I don't know, you want to just comment on a few things before we move forward by the previous speakers?
With respect to the tree, we understand that there's a beauty associated with the tree that old, so we will keep the tree. We do, we appreciate what the members of the neighborhood are saying, that we don't think that the developing of a single-family home on this lot is going to be a negative effect on the neighborhood. Adding one house will not duly unburden the neighborhood with traffic or safety issues. It would be in line with each home on that street. Homes behind it, homes across the street, homes down the street. We appreciate the comments, and again, it's up to the board to make the decision on that.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. All right, now we'll open questions and comments to the board. The chair recognizes Mr. Nicholson. Mr. Nicholson, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It shows on the drawings that it's a 3-bedroom, but on the submittal it says it's a 4-bedroom. So
no, the architectural drawings show a 3-bedroom.
Yeah, on the application it has a 4-bedroom thing here.
I believe possibly the house next door may have 4 bedrooms, the existing home.
Okay.
But the home that's going to be under construction, the architectural show that it has 3 bedrooms.
Okay. I mean, it's a small, narrow lot, but I mean, it's doable. I live in that area, and my lot and the building, the house you're building, are identical in square footage and stuff. So, I mean, it's more than enough house and yard to live in. It just might reassure the point of the hardship to actually, make this change from the 7,000 to 4,000. So that's what I'm kind of caught at,
What I would say that this property, the existing single-family home there was built in 1935 before these zoning bylaws were enacted. And when these bylaws went in and they were changed once, it used to be the square footage, I can't remember what it was before, but it was changed once. And it was less than what it is now. But the 7,000 square foot per lot and the 70 feet for frontage, as you can see for this neighborhood here, it doesn't comply. Mm-hmm. None of the homes here comply or align with that. And you can see that from our zoning analysis. So, you know, I think that if you go ahead and you vote for this, it would be in line with everything else, and it would not be a derogation of the zoning bylaws if you were to vote for it.
Yeah, I mean, the houses there are built in the 1930s, and you know the rules were different, like the laws are different. I just don't. I'm not sure I'm convinced exactly yet. But that's all I really had to say, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. The chair recognizes Mr. Prokop. Mr. Prokop, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Member Nickerson. It is you know a little bit small, but when you look at the comparable, as you mentioned, Theodorus, that it does seem like all of the properties in that area are all similar. I'm also looking at your development. So the existing house is 1,936 square feet and sits on a 4,603 square feet. And the proposed house is a little bit bigger by 248 square feet on the lot size. And you're building a smaller house by 436 square feet. So you build it, from what I see here, the proposal is to build 1,500 square feet.
It's just about 1,500 square feet. We're trying to scale it in with the size of the lot,
right?
So that we don't overburden the lot and in turn overburden the neighborhood.
Right, and the proposed lot is bigger than the existing lot by 248 square feet.
Yes, that's the way it worked out historically. If you take a look at the deed that we have historically, the deed has two separate lots on the deed, and that's how this was developed to correspond with the historical description, legal description of the lots.
Yeah. Yeah, that explains it. I'm just making the point that you're building a smaller house on a bigger lot. So I think you're showing, some consideration for the neighborhood as opposed to, and I do live in the area, so I'm very familiar as I walk my dog in that area all the time. But the trees are important. And I think once Mr. Hammond said, well, we can take it down or we can leave it, I think people said, no, we want that tree back there. Yeah, I don't have a lot of questions. I think, Mr. Hammond, you do take good care of the work that you do. But it is a smaller lot just based on the current laws that we have, from a zoning perspective. But I think it is doable just based on what's there already. I don't have any more questions, Mr.
And just for the point of information, we are going to add additional shade trees to both lots.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Prokop. The chair recognizes Mr. Briere. Mr. Briere, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During my tenure on the board, I've consistently voted in favor of new construction of lots of a similar size, so long as the integrity and the character of the neighborhood is maintained. And it certainly is in this case, and I'll be voting in favor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Briere. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad you pointed out the deed. I had skimmed over that, but not really understood it. So the deed actually is for two lots, is that correct? So it was never combined as one lot? It still remains as two lots?
The original legal description has two parcels, and the existing home sat on one of the parcels, and the second parcel was the vacant parcel. And each of those legal descriptions from the historical description had lots of 50 feet of frontage each.
Okay.
And that's how the plan was derived from that legal description.
So you're actually following the original lot configuration with the border between the two lots that you're providing now?
That's correct.
Okay. And one nice thing that you're doing is you're actually having the relief sought for the side yard setback on the existing house.
Correct.
So the proposed lot meets everything except lot area
And frontage.
and frontage.
And
Right.
correct. And with respect to the existing lot, we're also asking for, I believe the plan shows on there, floor area ratio and open space.
And side yard setback.
Yes, yes.
But that's largely almost as though it was intended to have those issues back when the original lot was configured.
Right.
Right. Interesting. I do support the idea of another structure in this neighborhood. I don't like the opposition that we have from the neighbors. We are in a shortage of housing in the city, and this is certainly a desirable neighborhood to see another single family, and you're providing modest design. You're not going, in fact, it's so modest that it only requires two areas of relief, the lot area and the frontage. You meet the setbacks, which means you meet the safety issue for distance from the next property. And you meet the, one thing that you don't have, I just want to point it out, is that if I were to go forward with a condition to revise the site plan to show the rear porch and any other additional impervious surface at the rear of the property, because that's not on the site plan. It's minor. It's minor, though. How are you handling drainage on this site? If I could just ask. Are we improving drainage for the neighborhood at all with the new construction?
Yes, we would. We'll be fully complying with all the requirements of the stormwater team to provide drainage for the roof area and all impervious space.
Will that be subsurface?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Okay. And you're suggesting 2 shade trees, I heard.
That's correct.
So where are those going?
I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one here.
Okay, and that's expecting that the existing shade tree at the corner of the right lot would be removed?
No, it's going to stay.
It's going to stay?
Yeah. We're going to leave all the existing mature trees.
Okay. So we could have as a condition not to remove the mature trees on the new lot and to provide 2 additional shade trees?
That's correct.
1 on each lot?
Yep.
Okay. I see this as fitting. I've never seen a map that's so telling as far as the number of lots that are undersized in this neighborhood. Fran, it almost seems like, why did we have 7,000 square foot lots in this neighborhood? One would ask, but it's hindsight. I wasn't involved back then. So.
No.
Okay. I think I can support this for those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. The chair recognizes the vice chairman. Ms. Callahan, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I understand the concerns of the neighbors, and yes, it is a small lot, but they're all small in that area, and thank you for providing that information. I would normally check that on the GIS website, but the website's down, probably because of the CrowdStrike thing, but who knows. But, Council, thank you for pointing out the deed as well. As I was going, while you were giving a presentation, while my fellow board members were speaking, ran a quick search through the website, the Registry of Deeds website, starting with the initial, your client's one, and going back about 4 or 5 different owners and over the course of the years, and every single one of them says parcel 1 and parcel 2, with 2 separate parcels. I finally got to as far as I could get back to, about 1969. And then there, they mentioned, at some point, it appears that those parcels were separated at some point. Because I do see on the deed in 1969, transferred from W. Earl Wright to Leonard and Mary Nichols. And they talk about the parcel, they set forth the two parcels, and then they say, for my title for parcel 1, see this deed from 1947, and then for my title from parcel 2, see this deed from 1949. So that leads me to believe it was always intended at this point that these parcels were supposed to be separated. And at some point, they were not merged, but
Held
came
in
together.
common ownership.
Yeah, just common ownership, yeah, exactly. So that being said, I mean, and just reviewing all the other parcels in the area, all similar in size, and I think, and again, understanding the concerns of the neighbors, I think it was meant to be. This parcel was meant to be made land at some point put on. So I think you're being very restrained with the structure of that you're planning on putting in, which is great, and I think it will fit in with the neighborhood and be an addition to the city on the tax base as well as for the surrounding area, and hopefully it'll be a nice one family that's there that can utilize the parks that are available if they have children. So it's so I would be in support of this along with the conditions that Dennis mentioned. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. I just wanted to say thank you to all the neighbors who came out this evening. I know it's not always easy to come out and take time out of your schedule and come and express your concerns and opinion. I hear you. Like my colleague said, we hear your concerns. I do want to say that the relief you're seeking, it does seem a good amount of relief is seeking for this build, but just with the information, and people can see it for themselves. This lot, the home is going to be built. It's going to be very similar lot sizes to a lot of homes in that area. And again, I know this is something that's concerning to people, but again, just like everyone's been saying tonight, housing is such a shortage everywhere, and this one home I think will make a difference in the long run, and I really believe in 5, 10, 20 years down the road, they're just going to blend right in with the rest of the neighborhood. So those are my thoughts. So I will be supporting this as well with the conditions we talked about, Councilor. If there's no further comments, can I have a motion, please?
Through Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2024-24 for variances at 20 and 26 July Street. Variance for minimum lot area per dwelling unit, frontage, side yard setback, usable open space. I think I said frontage and any other relief required by the Lowell zoning ordinance with the following 3 conditions. First one, that the applicant provide a revised site plan to show on lot 26 the rear porch and any other impervious surface. Second, that the applicant not remove the large beech tree at the rear of lot 26 or the other shade tree along the street. And third, that the applicant provide 2 additional shade trees, 1 on each lot.
All right. Motion by Mr. McCarthy.
Second.
Second by the Vice Chairman. Can we roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve the conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve of conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Briere,
Approval.
Member Procope,
Approve with conditions.
Member Nickerson.
I approve with conditions.
All right. You've been approved.
Thank you very much.
Wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
crawled over that other one.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. We have a special permit. The applicant is the Lazy Cat Lounge LLC. The property is located at 177 Merrimack Street. The Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing to all interested persons relative to an application by the Lazy Cat Lounge LLC to operate a cat cafe at 177 Merrimack Street. The property is located in the downtown mixed-use DMU zoning district and requires special permit approval under section 12.4.h and for any relief required in the Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Hi, my name's Brandy Jong. I live at 20 Harlem Street in Lowell, Massachusetts. Yes? Oh.
Yeah, just tell us about your project. Yeah, yeah. Good evening.
Is that better?
Thank you.
So, yeah, I'm applying for the zoning variance for having a cat cafe in the space at 177 Merrimack Street downtown. I'm not sure if there's anything anybody wanted to know about it, but happy to answer questions.
Okay. If that's all you have, we'll open up to the public.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition of this petition? In opposition, in opposition, in opposition. Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Seeing none. All right, the public hearing is closed. We're going to open questions and comments to the board. The chair recognizes Mr. Prokop. Mr. Prokop, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I think this is a great idea. It's very few in cat cafes in the state. I believe one was just opened up in Boston maybe a couple of weeks ago.
Brookline.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one in Brookline that just opened.
In Brookline, yeah.
But Peabody is the only other.
I love the idea. I'm allergic to cats, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what else I can ask. But I see that you do have a few letters of support in addition to the gentleman that just voted for you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prokop. The chair recognizes Mr. Breer. Mr. Breer, the floor is yours, sir.
I hate cats. But I don't hate your idea. I don't hate your idea.
Thank you.
So I think you should. I'm not going to let that cloud. I'm not going to let that cloud my judgment. But when I first saw this,
Make that comment.
and I said I saw the cat lounge.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go to a place, the Pussycat Lounge, but they had booze. They didn't have litter boxes. But I wish you the best of luck with this.
Thank you.
God only knows how the hell you thought of it. But I don't know. Good luck, lady.
Thank you, Mr. Breer. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
I love cats, and so I'm so glad that you're doing this. What are the hours of operation?
So to start out, I'm going to be closed on Monday and Tuesday. I'm still working a full-time job in the evening, but then I'll be open 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay.
We're going to close for an hour to let the cats relax, rest from 2 to 3, and then reopen from 3 to 8. And we can also clean in that hour and just, make sure everything is sanitary. But there'll be no food in the area where the cats are anyway. And we won't be preparing any food on site. I'm hoping to partner with a local bakery downtown to provide some pre-made, wrapped snacks. And I'm working with Atomic Coffee to have some, cappuccinos and good coffee drinks and stuff. And
Oh, that sounds lovely.
yeah, so most days open basically from 10 till 8 p.m. at night.
And what about the number of seats in the cafe? How many people are you thinking there are going to be?
Honestly, I really don't want to have more than maybe 10.
Okay.
Just keeping that area very small and basically people that come in are going to be going into the cat lounge area, where it would be like 10 people per hour, hopefully, with a max of about 8 cats there.
And where are the cats coming from?
Lowell Humane Society.
It is.
I've been volunteering there for over 20 years.
That's wonderful.
2 other rescues in the state, possibly the Pat Brody Shelter, where I've been fostering and volunteering for many years since I was in college a long time ago. And Broken Tail Rescue out of Worcester. I've had another rescue approach me, so I'm assuming we'll have lots of influx of adoptable rescue cats there. And so, it's going to be a great space for if you wanted to come and hang out and meet a cat and get used to, see if it's one that fits with your personality. Or in other similar spaces, I've seen elderly people who are coming out of nursing homes that can't have a pet anymore. Or even at their home, their family brings them, they sit, spend an hour, have a cup of tea, hang out with a cat, just to get that pet therapy. We're planning to make everything wheelchair accessible. We're actually modifying one of the bathrooms so it will be handicap accessible. Planning to hopefully have a nice, relaxing space for people to go and have pet therapy.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. The chair can answer the vice chairman, Mr. Callahan. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I noticed that I saw an article or something on WCBV recently about one that just recently opened up in Boston.
Yep,
And it's
Sanctuary
just like a
Place.
rounding success there. So I think one of the things that I thought they mentioned in there, or like the Boston zoning or whatever they did, ventilation, because I know, like was mentioned, it's many people have allergies to cats and stuff. What's the ventilation? You have a ventilation plan as far as?
That's a good question. I know that there is actually a pretty good ventilation system because it used to be a nightclub.
Yeah.
So there seemed to be a lot of air ducts, and my contractor people were in there today, and we're looking at what we're going to do with the ceiling. And anyway, there's things that we will not be modifying to keep it. I can also get at our house, because as you can imagine, we have a few cats at our house.
Yeah.
We have the air filtration units. I'm sure I could get one of those as well.
Yeah. Okay.
To help, but I'm assuming most people who are allergic are not probably
Probably not going to go there. I would hope so too, but
Yeah.
you never know. Like some. No.
I mean, but, we still, the 2 rooms will be entirely separate. So if somebody came in to get a coffee, there will be a window so you can look in
But
without
not-
going in if you don't want to.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. No, it was just something that I remember watching, either reading the article or watching they mentioned something about ventilation because of people who have allergies and stuff, it seemed pretty concerning. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic, actually, I think it's going to be a perfect addition to downtown. So
I think so too.
I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. The chair recognizes Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did not hear about the other 2 when I saw this come across, and I read this, and I thought that this was like one of the most unique ideas, truthfully. Then you're having these theme nights, incorporating all these different organizations and stuff. I love the idea. I love cats, so don't want to adopt one, but
That's the thing. You can come and visit one
but
without
yeah,
adopting.
I think this is going to be. You see everything for dogs.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing for cats. I think this is like something that, for those cat lovers and stuff, that this is just going to be something that people are going to want to go check out. So I think that this is unique and wonderful, to be honest with you. So I wish you luck as well.
When I visited the first one doing my research, I went up to Newmarket, New Hampshire. There's a girl who's been mentoring me and helping me up there, and there were 2 students from UMass Lowell who had driven an hour to Newmarket to go up to the cat cafe. They were so excited, and there's been a lot of feedback from the community. Even while we were outside today, trying to clean up the outside of the space, people were just walking up and stopping. Are you the cat lounge people? Are you, So I think it's going to be kind of an exciting thing. It's a dream for me, so
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah, like my colleague said, ma'am, I think this is a very nice and creative idea, a great service to the community. We don't have one in the community now, so I think people only benefit. And again, you're bringing in new business and new opportunities to the area. So thank you for that, your investment. I don't have any concerns. I'll support this. So thank you, ma'am. If there's no further comments, we'll move forward with the motion.
Just one other mention.
Yeah, Mr. Betts.
What about signage? I mean, I know that the nightclub there, I think they didn't have internal illuminated signage.
No.
They had a wall signage or something. What are your plans for signage?
So Stephen Stoll just actually came down to the space today. Yesterday? I'm losing track of time. Yeah, today with Allison Carter, and I showed them. My theme is like Victorian. So the lounge space is going to be sort of like Victorian decorated.
Okay.
So the signage is circa late 1880s.
Okay.
And sort of fitting in. They liked it. So nothing illuminated. If I do anything, because I'll be open in the evenings, it'll be like gooseneck lighting.
You'd have to come back in front of us if you had internally illuminated signage.
No internally,
Yeah,
no.
so, okay. Yep.
As few lights as possible, as far
Got
as
it.
I'm concerned.
Well, you're not going to be open up late. I presume you're not open up late at night unless the cats get a little crazy, right?
Right, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Vice. Can we have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2024-25 for a special permit at 177 Merrimack Street, and any other relief required under the Lowell zoning ordinance.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by Mr. Briere. Can we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve?
Member Callahan,
Approved?
Member McCarthy,
Approve.
Member Briere,
Approval.
Member Procope,
Approve.
Member Nickerson.
Approve.
You've been approved.
Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out this evening. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. We have ZBA-2024-26 petition. The property is located at 691 Varnum Ave. The petition, Lisa Krikorin and Robert Anuzio have applied to zoning board of appeals to construct an addition to the home at 691 Varnum Ave. The subject property is located in the suburban single-family zoning district. The proposal requires the variance approval from the zoning board of appeals per section 5.1 for minimum side yard setback and any other relief required in the Lowell zoning ordinance.
Yeah, for Bonham Ave?
Oh, yeah. Come on up.
Hello.
Good evening.
Process of elimination, I presume.
Barnum Ave. Can
Yep.
you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm seeking this for my father, to have him move in there.
Okay. Thank you. If we have nothing further, we'll open up the hearing to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition. Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. We're going to open question and comments for the board. The chair recognizes Mr. Briere. Mr. Briere, the floor is yours, sir.
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman. I'll be voting in favor.
Thank you, Mr. Briere. The chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the floor is yours, sir.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask, the design that you have here, you have the garage, and the only access door to the new space is through the garage?
If you can,
If you come up to the lectern, and it's being recorded, so.
We will have another door.
Okay.
He said there's going to be an entrance, not just the garage. And my
Okay,
contractor is there,
so right now it's 3 spaces. There's a space like a kitchen, I take, and then a bathroom, and a multi-purpose bedroom lounge space?
Yes.
And so the door's going to be going in directly to that space there?
Yeah, I think.
I'm guessing.
He would enter from. He would enter into his unit from.
Yeah, you can enter through the garage, through another door, going towards the patio, deck, and the backyard.
Makes sense. I don't know, Fran, if we are running into any code issues regarding these spaces because I think we can't have a locked door between units. Is that correct?
Yes, you're correct.
So maybe the door in the garage wouldn't be locked and that would all suffice? Is that how we would kind of look at that?
Yeah, we would figure that out. I know it's, what do you?
We wouldn't, I don't want to get into a condition where we approve something and the building inspector
Okay.
says, how'd you approve that?
Yeah, I will look into that.
I guess maybe the door to the garage wouldn't be locked and that would all work?
Yeah, I mean, my contractor knows more about it, but he didn't come with me tonight.
Yeah,
I
I
know
think you'll just
he
have
had
to
that figured into it.
work that out because it clearly looks like a beautiful space for your father to stay.
Thank you.
It looks great, and I'm glad you're doing this because I think people, sharing homes like that is ideal. I'm just glad you're doing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. The chair recognizes the vice chairman, Ms. Callahan. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a good project and and makes sense for your father, but a couple questions I got. I got a matter labeled food prep.
Yes.
So how's that any different from a kitchen? How is that?
He won't have a stove.
Okay.
He's going to have like an air fryer. He can use my kitchen,
Okay.
so that'll be fine.
Okay. All right. That's what.
Gas lines run into it.
No, none of that.
Yeah.
There'll
So.
be,
Okay.
wall unit for AC and heat.
Yep.
One of those Mitsubishi.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Just want to make sure and.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one, and no, that's.
Yeah. I know, Fran, I know we went through this last year with the whole process with ADUs. How is this, is this not an ADU, or is this like, is it like, because,
We do not regulate the number of kitchens and bathrooms that can be in a dwelling. And so people are, under our existing regulations, allowed to add an additional kitchen and living space, essentially, so long as there are no locked doors that separate that space from other spaces in the dwelling, because then it's just a contiguous dwelling unit with multiple kitchens and bathrooms.
yep.
So they exist in Lowell, we permit them. That is how we advise people when they reach out to development services. That is how essentially in-law suites can be created in the city at this time. So this dwelling would need to comply with that as well. And whatever door you need to enter into the unit would need to be unlocked and just free-flowing with the rest of the home.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I guess I'm trying to struggle with whether or not this is, because you mentioned that there's going to be another door to get to the outside, but it's not on the plans, and that's the kind of the.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm struggling with right now, is that where that door is going to be as far as exiting the area.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's gonna be a separate, he's gonna park his car, and the door going into his unit.
Yeah, his garage and the.
That goes into, I think what, to Dennis's point is bringing up is you have a door that's going into the garage, and then you have another door, then we don't see any other door after that. Then there's another door going outside. There's a door coming into the garage from the back, and then there's a door going into the unit from the garage, right?
Yes.
So, I don't know, is that,
I mean, it's.
Fran, what's the assessment on
I
that?
would say if it's not locked, then technically if it cannot be locked, then it meets the standard that I'm discussing.
You mean the door inside the garage?
Correct.
Now I get concerns about that, about you got cars in the garage that
Yeah,
with
no,
an open door,
that
with an open
unlocked.
door space, so.
We do that all the time anyways.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because presumably the garage door locks.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
But then that interior door would not lock.
Okay.
Would not be able to be locked. And.
I mean, you can close it, but you can't lock it, right? Is that what it's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would need to be made clear. It's being made clear now and also during the building permit review process.
Mhm.
And that's what we can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just Yeah, a couple things that just caught my attention.
Yeah, I wish my contractor came, but
Yeah.
couldn't make it.
So I guess we should probably be conditioning that the garage door entryway, the entryway from the garage cannot be locked. I mean, but the building department will probably be taking care of
No
that, right,
problem.
Fran? That'll be something in the building? Yeah. But I think we probably should condition it anyways, just to make sure. So.
Yep.
All right. Other than that, if you're in agreement with that, then I'm in all approval of this, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. The chair recognizes Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm concerned the same thing, because my understanding would be if free-flowing, that would be from the house to those rooms, but you're separated by a door to the garage, to a door to the unit, so it's like two separate living spaces. So it reads confusing to me as well, because I don't see how it's free flowing, and I didn't think that didn't think it mattered having a locked door. It was just a door. There couldn't be a door, period. So to me, it's just a little concerning to me, though, because then if we say yes to this, we're going to have other issues as well. I personally am for ADUs, but they're just not allowed right now. So.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them in Lowell.
I
There's a
thought
lot
it
of them.
wasn't considered an ADU if it didn't have a gas stove.
Yeah, there's a lot of these in Lowell. People have them, and then they find an electrician to put electricity in there, take it out when they put it in the market. I'm a realtor, so I've seen it.
Yeah, I know.
So
that
it's
we
a
don't even-
it's a
don't
slippery
have
slope,
plans
I
of that.
think. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nixon. The chair recognizes Mr. Prokop. Mr. Prokop, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the applicant has met the guidelines. I don't have any questions. I'll be voting in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prokop. Ma'am, I think this is a nice addition for your father. I think it will only add value not just to the home but to the neighborhood. And I think for me, it's always a good thing when we can get people some additional kind of relief in terms of this in-law suite here that you're doing. I think so we all can be one family unit. And again, no one's in opposition. I think it'll be tough if there was opposition as you've seen tonight. So I think it'd be a nice addition. I don't have any concerns, so I'll be voting in favor, ma'am.
Thank you.
With the condition that we talked about, the door not being able to be locked in the entranceway.
Yes, I will definitely speak
Okay.
on that.
All right, if there's no further comments, we'll move forward with a motion.
If I could just ask,
Yeah, Mr. McCarthy?
I think we can't condition things regarding building code, right? I think we could, maybe the intent of the condition is that the plan will be acceptable by the building department as a shared space, however that needs to be accessed. Maybe something in that vein.
Sure.
Would be.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Is that okay with you, Mr.
Yep, makes
Callahan?
sense, yep.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
So,
Mr. McCarthy.
Three, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZBA 2024-26 for 691 Varnum Ave. Let's see. For minimum side yard setback, for variance required for minimum side yard setback and any other relief required by the zoning, Lowell zoning ordinance, with the condition that the applicant receive approval from the building department for any shared access required by the building code.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy, second by Mr. Prokop. Can we roll call, please?
Chairman Peck,
Approve the condition.
Member Callahan,
Approve of conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve the condition.
Member Briere,
Approval.
Member Prokop,
Approve with conditions.
Member Nickerson.
I approve the conditions.
All right, you've been approved. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. I know it's been a long night.
Have a good night.
You too, thank you. Moving on to other business, we have the minutes for June 24th. Any edits, comments, revisions by my colleagues from the minutes? All right, seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Three, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for June 24th, 2024.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. McCarthy to approve the minutes, second by Mr. Prokop. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. Unanimous and ayes. The minutes have been approved. Any further comments before we adjourn tonight by my colleagues?
Happy Folk Festival weekend approaching.
Agreed.
Yes.
Same. Yes.
Hope to see everybody there.
Any other comments? Okay. All right. Thank you. Seeing none, can I motion to adjourn, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Motion by Mr.
Second.
McCarthy to adjourn, second by the Vice Chairman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. The ayes are unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you. Have a good night.